Today we will be reviewing calculating the time space, which is the percentage of your home that is used for business purposes. During today's conversation, we will go over the use of time space and why it's important and how it's used, how the calculation works, and where can you find help with performing this calculation. As a home-based childcare provider, many of your expenses are for both your business and your personal home use. So how do you figure out how much of your expenses are considered business expenses? The answer is simpler than you may think. Using the time-space calculation, childcare programs can request reimbursement from the Child Care Relief Fund for common expenses incurred by in-home childcare services, such as your rent or mortgage, property taxes, utilities, and other housing expenses that are necessary for your in-home business. In addition to being helpful for figuring out your payment requests for the Child Care Relief Fund, the time-space calculation also determines the percentage that you can deduct for your business and home expenses on your federal income taxes. So how does the time-space calculation work? The time-space calculation takes just a few simple steps to help you calculate the percentage of your home that is used for business. It considers the amount of time your home is used for business and the space within your home that is used for business. So using the 5 easy steps that you see here, you can easily determine how many of your expenses can be reimbursed with the Child Care Relief Fund, or what expenses can be deducted on your federal income taxes. And we're going to walk through each of these key steps one by one in detail. Step 1, you're going to determine the square footage of the area in your home that you regularly use for your childcare space. Regular use for your childcare space includes areas that may be used all day, such as play areas and learning areas, but also areas that are regularly used for only part of the day, such as napping areas or even your kitchen for meal times. Both count towards your space calculation. Add the square footage of each of your regularly used spaces together to determine the area of your home that you use for your childcare business. To calculate the square footage, you will first need to measure the length and width of your space. So if you don't have that information handy already in terms of what the square footage is for each room in your home, you can find out by using a tape measure. So you will fix a tape measure to one end of the longest wall in your space and extend it to the other end. Next, you'll record this measurement in feet. After that, you'll fix your tape measure to one end of the shortest wall in your space and extend it to the other. You'll then record that measurement in feet. Next, you're going to multiply the length by the width measurement to find your square footage. So for example, if your space is 12 feet long and 10 feet wide, your square footage would be 12 times 10, which is 120 square feet. For oddly shaped spaces, such as rooms with an extra nook or filled by a closet, break your room into smaller rectangular blocks. Use the square footage calculation for each block and add the totals together. Step 2, you're going to divide the square footage of that space by the square footage of your home to determine a percentage. So you're going to take the number of square feet of the childcare space and divide it by the total square footage of your home. For example, if you use 500 square feet of your home for childcare space and the home is 1,100 square feet, then the result is 0.454. You'll multiply that decimal number by 100 to get the percentage of 45.4%. So that means you are using 45.4% of your home for business use. Step 3, determine the amount of time your home was used for childcare during the year. So you'll calculate how many hours your childcare space is open per week, including the time that you spend preparing and cleaning up when the children are not present. You'll multiply this number by the number of weeks that you were open for service and add any work hours that you performed while you were closed. So for example, if your business is open 10 hours per day for childcare, but you spend an hour beforehand preparing and an hour after cleaning up, that's 12 hours per day, 5 days per week. Let's say you closed for 4 weeks due to the pandemic, but during that time you spent 10 hours maintaining the childcare space and preparing for reopening. Now let's do the math. 12 hours per day multiplied by 5 days per week, multiplied by 48 weeks open, and then you'll add your 10 hours from when you were closed, but still preparing, and that adds up to 2,890 hours. So that is the amount of time that your home was used for childcare during the year. Step 4, divide the hours your home was used for childcare by the total hours in the year. For example, let's divide the 2,890 hours calculated above by 8,760, which is the total number of hours in a year. That gets us 0.329. We'll multiply that decimal by 100 to get the percentage, which is 32.9%. So that is the percentage of time that your home was used for childcare by the total hours in a year. Step 5, you'll multiply the percentage of the space used in your home by the percentage of time your home is used for business to determine what percent of your in-home expenses are for your business. So now you'll take the two numbers, the two percentages that you calculated, and multiply them together. In our example, that would be 45.4% multiplied by 32.9%, and that will get you 14.9%. So that 14.9% is your time space calculation, and this is the amount that you can apply to your home expenses that are also tied to your business use, and you'll deduct that your home. So this is and that will get you the amount that you can deduct from your home expenses for your in-home childcare service. So again, for an example, let's say you've added up your mortgage and your property taxes and your utilities for the year, and that totals $20,000. If you multiply that by your time space percentage of 14.9%, that gets you a total of $2,980 that you can apply as your cost for using your home for business use. There may be times when a home-based provider has space in their home that they use exclusively for childcare. And in those instances, the time space calculation is calculated a bit differently. So first, what is exclusively used space? That would include areas that are only used for childcare and nothing else. These are considered exclusive use because you have no personal benefit or use of the space outside of childcare. So what would that look like? For instance, if a childcare provider outfits their basement to be exclusively used for childcare and nothing else, then the square footage of the basement would be considered exclusively used space, and that would be considered during the time space calculation. So, what does it look like when calculating time space and including exclusively used space? So once you get to step 5, you want to multiply the space that you regularly use in your home by the percentage of time that your home is used for business. That is your traditional time space. Then you want to add separately the space percentage of exclusively used space to determine what percent of your home expenses are for your business. By doing the calculation this way, you will have a higher time space percentage for your business use of home because you are capturing the space that you use exclusively in addition to the spaces that you use regularly, which are subject to time space. If you need help performing this calculation, or if you have questions about performing this home space calculation, you can reach out to a business coach, or you can view our website for other resources, or send an email to us at texas@ecebizcoach.org, and someone will be happy to work with you or answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.